Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, I'm just clicking on the Instagram. Hello, my lovely people. Hello, everyone. Imposter syndrome. I hope you can hear me well, you can see me well, but imposter syndrome is so important. I think it's one of the issues that people feel on everyday basis. Doesn't matter how much they know, doesn't matter how many certificates and diplomas and experience they have. Lots of people still feel like, oh, maybe I don't know that much. Maybe someone can know that I don't know that much, so they can reveal and I will feel like a fraud. But all of these things you already know. I'm going to approach imposter syndrome today from a different perspective. Something that you might know or might not know, but it's very interesting how your subconscious mind gives control to something else, and to what we are going to talk about today, and how giving your subconscious mind gives, or you give control to something else, and that starts to control you. And we're going to talk about all of the things that control you and started to control really like early in life. So mind locks onto familiar or on pain. Doesn't matter what your life has been, what experiences you have, the subconscious mind is lazy, right? It wants to lock onto familiar. Whatever is familiar, so whatever the story was, whatever was familiar, it will lock onto it. And subconscious mind doesn't know outcomes, so it doesn't know what's good for you, what's not, what's beneficial and what's not. No, it doesn't know. So that's why you sometimes feel so frustrated with yourself, not with the world that much, as you become frustrated with yourself. Why? I know it logically, but I still don't do it. But I still have these thoughts, right? It's because the subconscious mind doesn't know the outcomes. So you logically know what's good for you. You logically realize, oh, you know what, I'm smart. I need to tell that to myself every single day to praise myself. But somehow, subconsciously, the control still is somewhere else. And where? We'll figure it out today. And also, mind locks onto pain. It locks onto pain. Whatever painful, confusing, whatever something that you couldn't explain to yourself you had in the past, the mind will lock onto that as well. Even though you know now, even though you realize now, but the mind still locks onto that past mistake, past pain, sorry. And for example, you got, for example, your teacher criticized and judged you and yelled at you in front of the class. You now realize that probably they had their own problems. But when you were 12 or you were 9 or you were 8, you didn't know about that. You didn't know about that. Your mind was confused, shocked, isolated, so it locked onto that pain. Oh, I have to make that really important. And when you make something really important, the mind will try to unlock it. It's like you have a lifeline and you have knots. It's like a rope. Imagine your lifeline is like a rope, this really nice straight rope. And there is a knot, right? And the mind will lock onto that knot. Like it wants to unlock it. The subconscious mind always wants to have everything resolved. Everything's like routine, familiar, good, no efforts. So it will try to. So that knot is that experience when you from which you started to form the belief that later on became the reason for the imposter syndrome. What happens, and I'm going to even draw today, I think, for you, just for you to really get the idea. Aside from what we know, we have control systems. These control systems are anything and everything that you started to believe in as the authority. So it could be family, it could be school, it could be your coach, if you were in competitive sports, right? It could be your older siblings. It could be your government, right? Could be industry. Could be your professors at the university. All of these stories, you absorbed them and you started to believe in them. And now, when you want something for yourself, You always go back to those stories. The subconscious mind doesn't understand time. So until you change that story, your mind is going to come back to those stories all the time. Right? And we're going to talk about, well, what are these stories are and what are these control systems. The first one and the most powerful one is the family, right? This control system. What is family? Aside from that is your loved ones or people who you lived with, your caregivers. It's the energy vortex. It's like energy vortex. And all of the people are in that energy, you live in that energy. And while it's good, right? It's a co-creation, right? It's a community, it's a unity, but at the same time, you give a little bit of your control to that vortex, especially when you're a child. A child, how much knowledge do you think an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old child has? And when they hear something that it could be just a conversation between the parents, they might make a really huge belief about that. So family. If in family, for example, someone told you that, you know what, in order to become a good artist, you need to study for 10 years. For example, that's just an example. In order to, you probably won't be able to become, a lawyer. It takes so much money, and you need to always go and study a lot, right? And you start to really believe in that, even if you really want to be a lawyer. But the story is, okay, it must be really hard. Oh no, doctor, it's not for you. You're not that smart. Again, right? The family, whatever you heard in the family became your voice. It became your voice. And then that voice you start to hear even now if you have that imposter syndrome. Also, another control system is school. So school is something that is a huge system, by the way. School is a huge control system. It breeds, feeds, and carries into the world most, I'm not saying 100%, but employees, right? So 9 to 5 job employees, right? And we all have been like that, and many of us are still there and we love it. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm just saying that in order for you to be a good 9 to 5 employee, you need to be compliant. You need to be very compliant. So, which means in order for you to be compliant, you need to have a fear. Fear that if you do something bad, you're going to be punished for that. So you need to do something really good according to the structure of the school. So the school system imposes good or bad, right or wrong, all the time, right? So they install these beliefs that you're going to go to school, you're going to go to university, to the college, right? And that's your only way to be successful. That's your only way to be successful. And then if you go to college, then you can find a job, or you can go to university, you can go to PhD program, whatever you decide, but that's the best life path for you. And the child at 9 or 8 or even earlier doesn't know whether they really want it. They still don't know whether they really want it, but they start to believe that that's how it's supposed to be. That's the right thing to do. So the system breeds these 9 to 5, the school system, in 95% of cases. And in order for you to be compliant for your whole life, work for 50 years, and then you have a retirement, right? You need to follow the system. You need to be compliant, a good boy or a good girl. That's how it is. Not always. I'm not saying in 100% of cases, but in 95. So, and you start to believe, and can you imagine when someone tells you that for 10 years at home and at school? And then we really get really shocked when we see countries who were very, very like zombied into believing in something. We believe in the stories in like a couple of days. We can be like influenced or manipulated into believing in something. Can you imagine what happens to a child when they follow that belief for 10 years? They believe that without the diploma, without the certificate, without many years of experience, without knowing it all, they can't be successful. And if someone finds out, and we're going to go into that, what fear, triggers. If someone finds out, I'm going to be judged and criticized and rejected from the community, right? So the child's belief is, I need to fit in order to survive in the tribe. The tribal chakra, right, the very lowest one, is your tribal needs. I need to fit in. I need to survive. So that energy is very strong, by the way, and it carries on through our whole life. So our job is to pick what's good and eliminate what wasn't beneficial. So whatever you started to believe in childhood, not everything is bad, not everything is not beneficial for you. But for you, your job is to eliminate what's not working and to keep on what is beneficial for you. So when you start to believe that I will never be a good professional without this, this, and this, and this, and maybe a little bit of this, or this, and this, and this, right? And on top of that, we have another control system that comes over the school and the college later on, right? And it's your industry. So your industry is another energy control system, right? The industry that you're in that has certain requirements, right? Certain, for example, idealized personalities, right? And you look up to them. And for many people, it can be an inspiration, empowerment. But if the self-esteem is low, which is for a lot of us, right, we can start believing that I will never be, I have to be like that in order to come out into the world. I have to be like that, right? So we become, just a little bit, just a little bit more, just a little bit more of information, just a little bit of more skill. I'm just going to wait, right? Just going to wait. So another control system is the industry that you are in. That can trigger the imposter syndrome again, right? So on top of the school, now you have the system. Another control system that comes on top of that is the government, right? So the government is the system of controlling someone or punishment. Right? So if you don't comply with the laws, you will be punished. However, the world develops so fast now, right? Then you start to be really confused by that. The government started, all of these control systems, by the way, you've adopted a lot of beliefs from them. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this in order to be enough, in order to be smart enough, capable enough, knowledgeable enough, in order to have an expertise. And we start to believe in that. However, the social media came in. And with the social media and the internet, you started to see different other cases. You see people who don't have that and don't have those 10 years of college, and they are incredible people, and smart and kind of confident, and know what they're talking about. You start to question that belief. And when you start to question that belief, the bigger confusion happens. However, it's not a bad thing because the healing happens then. So when you look at when you go into the social world, right, social media world, news, it could be advertisement on whatever platforms you're on, you start to see that, oh, some people don't have that belief, and somehow they kind of seem more happier, they kind of seem more joyful. You start to really question those beliefs that you had in childhood, and that's your healing point. When you start to question the beliefs that you had from the past, right, this is where you have to really dig even deeper into that doubt. Deeper, not like reject it. Oh, no, it's just for them, not for me. Don't go with the crowd, because you were born to be unique. And until, for example, 18 years of age, right, your basic need was to fit in, to survive within the family setting. But now you don't have to do that. Now that you grew up, you don't have to do that. Now your job is to find back that authenticity. So we feel like, I don't have enough expertise in this. I don't have enough knowledge in this or this or this. And if someone finds out, I'm going to be rejected, criticized, and judged, and all of these negative comments. I sometimes get them from therapists, right? Because I'm a hypnotherapist, and they are therapists. So they say like, oh my goodness, you didn't go to 8 years for schooling. I was like, I did go, right? I did, but it doesn't matter for me. It doesn't matter for me, but it did matter for me for the first 33 years of age. So, because I was believing in those stories as well. Anyway, Well, finding bad when you feel like you don't have an expertise in something, right? You believe that I have to be like someone else or close, because your basic pattern and behavior was to mirror mom, to mirror dad, to mirror your older siblings, to mirror your peers in school, to mirror your teachers, to mirror in order to fit in. I have to be the same, because if I'm not the same, I'm different. So I will be what? Rejected, right? Isolated, maybe excluded from the and it was really real. That fear of rejection is super strong for children. Super, one of the strongest fear for a child is if I'm excluded from the community. However, your job, you are authentic. So no one knows what's in your mind. No one knows what kind of knowledge you have. You might have your own, and you do have your own unique perception about the exact same concept that, for example, someone who is super, super smart, right? Or you think about that. And you might have a completely different perception, and that's so unique, so authentic, that it's just tailored to you, which means that there is no one like you, no point of view like yours, no sequence of words, sequence of sentences. So you can present a material, you can present an information in your own unique way, like no one else. And you'll have people who follow, who will listen, just because of how unique you are. But if you keep on mirroring someone, following someone, trying to fit in, to be like someone else, you go away from your authenticity, which means you start to feel anxiety, you start to feel doubt, confusion, and you feel like, because literally you cannot be like someone else. You cannot be like, I need to be as smart as they. You are smart, but differently. But your desire, you can go off your own life path. And that can bring a lot of anxiety. Anxiety is sometimes a guide, your guide into how to follow. When you have anxiety, it means somewhere you went off the path, right? So I'm launching, by the way, a live marathon on anxiety very soon in April. I'm going to love it. We're going to discover all the reasons and roots of anxiety, panic attacks, and fears. And it's incredible, right? It's the information that is not given to you by the public, because it's for healing, not for managing. So, if you have an imposter syndrome, right? Somewhere deep inside, you have that story. That control system is still there. The industry, the government, right? Social media, by the way, as well. Negative comments. You still have that control system, that story of that system that is still there, right? I can be punished, right? For not being enough, just like we were in childhood. If you were punished, by the way, imposter syndrome is huge. If you had, for example, if you have a very regulated industry that you are in, right, you might have that on top of the story that you had in the past. Your subconscious mind cannot hold a lot of conflicts. It just doesn't have the capacity to hold so many conflicts. So it will start to eliminate them. And if you have imposter syndrome about, for example, I'm not going to open a business, or I'm not going to go look for another job because I'm not going to apply for that position because I'm still not that smart. Or if we actually found and we were promoted and we have this imposter syndrome, I'm not that smart, I don't think I deserve to be here, right? If you have that, all of these, right? All you need to do is that big realization that you are unique, that there is no one like you on this planet. And there is no one like you on this planet, so no one can tell you and compare you to anyone. And if people compare, that's the problem already. That's the bigger problem, right? So if people compare, it's not about you. If people leave you negative comments or tell you that you are not as skilled or as professional, or don't have that much expertise, right? It is not about you. People who compare, right? They compare themselves as well. We very often feel like, oh my God, I don't want the judgment. I don't want the criticism. I don't want the punishment. I don't want someone to reveal that I might not know the answer to the question, right? You might have all of these fears, right? But for you, your main job is to realize one deep rooted knowledge that deep inside you already know. There is no one like you. And if you stay on that track, right, you can follow your heart and your dream. Very often, by the way, we have imposter syndrome when we don't do what we love. This is not all the cases at all, but there can be the case when we have imposter syndrome because we don't do what we love, right? For example, if I went and wanted to become an accountant right now, right? I'd probably have it because it's not mine. Like I probably would be like struggling through to getting the knowledge, to getting an experience. I would try to enjoy it. I will do my best to enjoy it, but still, it's not what I love. So if you have an imposter syndrome, you need to go off the pendulum. And this is how it looks like. I'm going to show you. This is really interesting. So this is you. And let's do this as well, right? And let's do this. So these are people. You, someone else, doesn't matter, right? And not who you see it, right? And your point of view, right? Your authenticity, your uniqueness is going to be blocked. It's going to be blocked by pendulums, these vortexes, right? These vortexes of energy. So it could be like a government, could be like a school, could be in an industry, regulations, right? So the stories from your parents, your teachers, right? And then they're gonna hold you. They're gonna hold you like on chains. They're gonna hold you like on chains. These pendulums are holding you like blocking your creativity, blocking your confidence, right? And it's because in your mind, you still believe in the story that what my mom told me, what my teacher told me, the voice, even though it became your voice, it started somewhere. It started someone. And now you might feel so much confusion and so much anxiety and maybe like even sabotaging, but then feeling the guilt about sabotaging yourself, right? And all of this, you could have a fear of public speaking, you can have a lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, just because you still believe in that story, right? So please find out what is that. Who was telling you? Who was telling that you need to be this and this and this? You need to answer every single. Who punished you for not answering the questions? In school, maybe. Who punished you for bad grades? That also affects it. Who punishes you for this, this, and that? Right? Punishment is a big, right? Punishment, criticism, judgment, all the other abusive words that we've heard in childhood became the exact same voice that you have in right now, but now you're telling it to yourself, right? But the way the voice came, the way you can change it, because in this world, there is nothing permanent but change. The only permanent thing is change. So this is very important to know. How to exit the pendulum. This is really important. How you can exit that control system. How can you detach yourself, right? So in order to detach yourself from the story, right, you need to open your mind and believe that it's like an intense polarity, right? So it's only this that is true. If you have that belief that, oh, only what mom said was true, only what that person, only what my boss told me, only what that guru or like that expert said, that's the only truth I know and the only truth I accept, then you lock your vision, right? You limit your vision and you don't see any other options. But then you're on social media. So you see that. You see those different options and you become very confused. Okay, I believe in this, but then I see all of these people who actually happy. Like they don't think about that. So imposter syndrome is this fear, right? That your knowledge is not enough, that your expertise is not enough, that you can be revealed and considered as a fraud comes way into the childhood and into those stories from those control systems that we had no choice, right? But be there. There is no even now, the government, right? You will be in that control system. But as you become aware of it, you can gain control over your mind, over your choices, over your decisions, and you can be more empowered to do what you actually love, right? And you probably will hear a lot of different advices like, oh, it's never the right time to start, or about the imposter syndrome, right? You will never get enough of knowledge, so it's better to start now from a tiny steps. These all things you know already, right? I was telling you something, right, that you need to really think about, right? Because I had a huge imposter syndrome, especially for immigrants who come to another country, right? And their education is not considered to be legit, right, anymore. And all of the skills, right, they just kind of eliminated, right? And you're starting from the scratch. Of course, that imposter syndrome is going to be huge. It's going to be very huge. But, however, the uniqueness is your skill that you need to develop. You are unique. No one is like you. Don't try to mirror. Don't mirror anyone. Don't mirror anyone's knowledge. Don't mirror anyone's way of schooling. Don't mirror anything what other people did. You can take the best, right? The tips and advices and tricks, right? And recommendations, but find your own way. This is how people, by the way, who are entrepreneurs, right? And they look at the way of marketing from other people from their industry, they become very like, sabotaging themselves because they believe that that's what they need to do. They believe that, oh, this is what I need to do. This is the way I need to market my services. This is how I need to gain my clients, for example, or bring leads to my website. Believe me, people want to sell you. This world is not about maximizing, it's about minimizing, it's about maximizing. So the more they can sell on you, the more levels, the more stories they can tell you, the more you buy, and you buy and you buy and you buy, and you get overwhelmed, right? So imposter syndrome, right, is something that you can work on. And I would say that as soon as you realize how unique you are and detach yourself from these control vortexes, then right away imposter syndrome just gone, really just gone. So, I've received so many negative comments, on my YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, even here on Instagram. Instagram, by the way, not that that negative as YouTube, or sometimes even Facebook, TikTok can be as well pretty negative. And but I could, if I listened to that, right, then of course I would never ever keep doing what I really really love. But at the same time, I already kind of removed that belief that I need to be at some level, that I need to know all the answers to all the questions, that I need to have the expertise. No, expertise is what you build. I would say expertise, comes with experience, comes with what you love to do, what you love to learn, exploring and expanding your vision. Expand your vision, detach yourself from all of these control systems. By the way, there are so many of others. It could be your coach, it could be a teacher. It doesn't mean that you don't need to listen to them, but always have that critical filter, that critical mind thinking filter, right? Always consider, like, doubt, all that is all that you hear. And then you will be able to accept a lot of ideas, a lot of options, right? And you will be able to see 360 degrees. That's what I tell my clients. You see 360 degrees in all directions and all options. So also, by the way, in my course, I also teach how to gain that authenticity, right? Yeah, the course is like 3-week course, and it actually teaches you how to gain back your self-worth, your self-esteem, to come back home to yourself, realizing how authentic, how unique, and how special you are. And if you want that, you can watch the free webinar on anxiety. It actually explains a lot about that course. You can read, the link is in bio. The course is called You Are the Therapy. It's an incredible course, the self-healing course with 18 different journeys into different issues that you have, that usually we have on an everyday basis. So check it out. You'll love it. And I hope this information was valuable for you. I love you all. Bye.